Why are you waiting for us? We are not that important. Oh, okay. That's pretty legit. I could have turned that mic over the whole time. I could have turned the mic over the whole time. So it'd be, didn't even. What's up, mama? Did you say you were going to get your sister to watch? What? Did Nina say she was going to watch?
I sent it to her.
It'd be great for her, man. The ribs.
Good. I know one.
Huh? I'll wait one minute. See if anybody's. Did you make a PowerPoint for this one? No. No, that's true. Okay, I'll probably put something together for the future. Maybe I can do that. Make a little like small clip or something just to do the gist of it. That's bright. No, it's just, well, I look at the TV and then my eyes focus and I look back at that thing and it's like a Luxor light in your face. No, it's cool. I just gotta get used to it. I can wear my glasses and show everybody what's up. Can you make the audio louder? See, that's why I didn't want to start. Is that better? Do I just need it? Babe, can you make the audio louder? It's all the way up. What's it sound like in yours, Mom? Oh, she's on the phone. Kathy B. Is there, man, there's other settings on there like gain and whatever.
What'd you say?
I was just asking how it is. Like, has everybody got good sound?
Yep.
All right. Mute them up.
You gonna shut me down now?
Shut her down.
Ah.
You got something to say, lady?
Hey, where are you? Show yourself.
Hey, be careful. She'll knock the camera over.
Hey. That's all I get to see.
You'll see more later. The show must go on.
Miss him on later.
All right.
Okay. Enough.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
You good? All right. All right. Happy Sunday. Thanks for coming. Sunday number 2. So this week is episode 4. Basically going over the rib cage application for self-therapy versus the partner therapy that we did on Thursday. So in this one, we're effectively going to learn how to do the same thing we did more or less with my hands on Thursday. It's a beautiful way, sir. And I mean, you could do this with the roller, but we're also going to, you could do certain activation and stuff with the Theragun just to warm it up. I'll try and do some of that. And then the peanut and stuff, you can do the peanut or any of them. Where is it, baby? So the peanut, I mean, obviously being 2 balls and straddled like that, you can do it down the side in that gap that it has. Sarah's grabbing it right now. We're super prepared on Sunday. I don't need that. Just give me that. So you can see here, you can use that to straddle the sides. That's what's beautiful about this thing. Whether you get the peanut, the roll into fitness one, this cavity right here going down the spine, or just about any muscle, especially the quads of death. When you try and roll your quads for the first time and you can only be angry at yourself, the gap right here really helps to go down, especially on like rectus femoris straight down the middle, vastus lateralis. Don't want to get into all the fancy terminologies. The outside muscle on the quad, the center muscle on your quad. So if you flex them and you feel like down here, the bump that comes up and it basically rides right up into just below the groin area. And then your TFL out here, You can pinch that little guy with this pretty easy. So, and the beauty of it is you're not balancing when you use this. When you use the big foam roller, you're not balancing either, unless you're trying to, stretch out or something. Then you get to where you can be balancing in this section. But this guy really helps to pinpoint, sink in deep, and really release a lot of the deeper fascial connections without having to balance. So when you're on the ball, it's almost always going to feel more acute just because the tissue has one point of focus versus 2 point of focus. And this has another thing for it to rest on so you can balance on it. So if you don't have one of these, I really told everybody you could pretty much do this with anything with yourself, a foam roller and a friend if you wanted to do the partner application. But certain things like this, if you can get a gun, excuse me, a massage gun of any kind, or if you can get one of these rollers. Instagram is at Roll Into Fitness, and then Knot is, I believe it's P Knotting, Knotting. But those two guys are great guys. I don't have any affiliation with them or anything like that, so I won't be promoting stuff on here. Anything that I say, I just like the guys and like their tools.
What about
This would be the other thing I was talking about. I mean, the Mobilitas, it's faded away. Clearly, I use this a lot. This is it seems like it'd be a soft foam ball, but it's pretty good and hard. So, but again, this is great if you're going to use your legs on your legs like a foam roller, and you can use your hands and your other leg to balance yourself. But when doing it on certain things, when you're on the ground, like if you're trying to roll on your back or roll on your legs, like straight out like this, it's going to be very very sharp compared to the two balls because you have nothing to balance you out. So you have to use the point that you're actually applying pressure to balance yourself. And a lot of people, when they're doing stuff and they tell me that they feel bruised after, that's what I tell them. You're not getting into a point where you're relaxing while you're doing the work. The same thing happens when you're doing work on somebody is you will notice that if you apply too much pressure, the body immediately pushes back. And that if you back off into a certain point, sometimes you have to back off 4 or 5 times and feel that. And then next thing you know, it'll go from like pushing back and bouncing back to just immediately sinking. And that's why it's really called a trigger point, because you have to treat it like a button, and the harder it is, the more resistant it's going to be, the longer it's going to take for you to press the button before it clicks. And the same thing goes with anything like this. But if you have something that's giving you too much acute pressure, then it's going to more fracture the tissue free. It's not going to cause a natural release. If you have something that's smashed against you and then you pull it free out from under it, it's going to feel a lot more bruised than if you apply pressure with, say, something like this over a point, and you get into the side of it like this, and then it releases and it just slowly melts away. It's going to feel a lot better after. So if you're doing stuff on people, that's where me changing the work up to more of a pressure-based methodology than a let me dig you out with my elbow methodology. It ended up getting a lot better, feedback, but return on it, because people were not getting this 5-day onset. I can't walk, and I don't know if I like that guy. I want to go back and see him. So with
well, that leads to my question. When people are rolling or when you are working on them and then something else in another area presents itself, people tend to think, oh, I hurt myself, or oh, you hurt me, or not you hurt me, but oh, you missed this spot. Can you explain like what presents itself after people roll on a certain area and then it shifts?
okay. So, well, I mean,
like after he did this area on me the other day when we did our class on Thursday, everything kind of shifted back up here. So even though he stripped this area before that, there were still obviously deeper layers of tension in my back, right underneath my scap and right mid-back region. So that was super sore after he did this. This wasn't sore at all. So can you just explain, like whether you're foam rolling or somebody's working on you?
The onset is always going to be, if you did it right, you're either going to feel really, really bruised in a specific area. And that could mean that you just opened up a really bad area and it's like ripping the scab off. That's kind of like this work is backwards because you got to rip the scab off to heal the wound in this work. It's not like leaving the scab on to let it heal. That would be more like cold laser treatment and stuff like that. That's like non-invasive, like treatments without doing any kind of like invasive pressure or anything. That is leaving the scab on. This is clearly ripping the scab off, sometimes violently, because the area has to open up. So you're more or less feeling all these woven fibers of, you know, fascia, connective tissue, everything that is basically freeing itself up, but you have to see all the pieces that, you know, can then now heal and go back into their natural form. That can be painful because while that happens, this is why I tell you not to go after tender areas, because sure, you could go after a tender area and get it to release. But what happens if the tight area, that really bricked up hard, you know, ball that's, you know, 6 inches to the left of it is still pulling on it? Same reason that you don't work on the back when you have upper back pain, you work on the chest first. Because if you don't drop the shoulders back, you're just going to make that a lot worse, because it's going to be like my shirt, and the chest is just going to pull the slack back over. Like, thanks for more slack. Now your back is going to be even worse. And then you end up with like ridiculous kyphosis, you know, and then doctors start telling you all about, you know, scoliosis and everything like that, which in a lot of cases really is just a pattern that formed over time and got really bad. So they look crooked. But what you should always expect, if you did it right, that you get a positive shift, meaning that the rubber band releases down here and boom, shoots up. And the next area in line that needs to be assessed will give you its presentation. So if you take and effectively release something below a spot and the next spot is above it, yeah, you should feel. It's a very, very common thing when I fix people's lower back pain. I open their hips, I go through their quads, their hamstrings and everything, and bam, their shoulder blades the next week. I had this numerous times in California. Clearly, it's my work doing it and like that. And I started to actually assess things in a way that I nail that area. So that way, when I release their hips and their pelvis and everything in a full body session, I already assume that they're going to get the hardcore shift up the thoracic into the mid back region. So I make sure that now you can see, like in the pictures I just posted recently with the blonde lady, and how she was so rounded, and I got her to be almost just like a crazy V-taper. So that shows you I just started doing that a lot better now because of that. So obviously, that just goes to say, whatever routine you build for yourself or for a person that you're working on, make sure that you are, I wasn't even looking at the camera the whole time. Make sure that you are constantly building a program around that and seeing and analyzing like which way it flows. That's why it's really good to do the same thing over and over and then add on or take away from that routine. Because if you are, if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be able to find out like what happens. I mean, obviously I could figure it out over years of doing it. I could just be like, oh, I know what that was. That's, you know, it's easy to assess now. But for somebody starting out, it might take you a couple years before you're just like, oh, I got it. So make sure you look at things and see like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. It was right below it. Okay. But sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes you can release the front of your hip and you could set something off in the, like in the back of your neck, all the way behind your ear. The next day you go to work, you have a massive migraine headache. You don't familiarize yourself with anything but the fact that you have a massive headache. You don't correlate anything. You don't think of anything that could have caused that. You're just like, holy heck, I have a massive migraine headache. So I mean, that's things that can happen. It's not always going to be like just a quick bilateral shift, or it's not going to be, oh, my hip released and now my glute is what I feel. Sometimes it's amazing. You know, you could fix somebody's foot and they're like, oh my gosh, my jaw just popped and my tinnitus just went away. I've had that happen. So think about stuff. And people stand up and sometimes it's just like their whole spine resets and all we did was like release their ankles, you know, and they're like, wow, I just asked you to fix my ankle real quick and you just, wow, I feel really good, you know? So always look for like different pieces, always think about like what spot shifted to what, and then always be ready when you feel something the next day to think about if you did anything the previous day or 2 days before that, because you're going to get some pretty violent shifts if you start foam rolling and stretching and doing this kind of work this way, because it's not like traditional therapy. It's not like running over stuff and just causing like stimulation. It's actually holding and releasing things all the way through. I mean, peeling back the layers of the onion is the best description you can say with this. It's a constant assessment, but you're always just going over stuff. You know, you might feel on the spot right up in here at the base of your shoulder blade, if you're working on somebody or yourself, you might feel that release 10 times. I mean, that's one time. I wouldn't release something that much more, but you might just boom, 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 chase it. It might just run all the way up somebody's neck up to here and release 10 times. So be ready for it to shift. Realize that it's, you know, like you might be like, oh my gosh, my lower back is killing me after you just fixed your hips. But then you go like foam roll up under your shoulder blades and it drops down and you go, oh, wow, that was still tight. And it yanked up on my lower back that was now loose and compromised. And that's what happened to a lot of people in California. And that's what happened to Sarah. So this last week, because of that, I've been properly diagnosing that before it happens, you know, like pre-assessing it. And you'll get good at doing that. So I don't want this to go on too long before I think that was perfect for you to ask those questions because that kind of solves exactly with the rib cage. That's what you notice the most because you're moving the structure. You're not moving like a single muscle. So be ready when you start manipulating structure. If you put heavy pressure on your shoulder blade against the wall like this or on somebody with your hand and it really moves, you feel that big section shift out and you can physically see their shoulders out. Be ready to, you know, forewarn them that, hey, you might get a cross down to this hip. You might get a cross over here. You might feel some really big pull in your chest. You might breathe different and get a pop in somewhere. And just be ready that because we moved your shoulder blade, because we moved anything structurally through here, those two things, people are going to get a radical shift. So now we're going to go on to, yes, I've been really kicking my butt doing the work. So I'm really ready for this. Sarah was like, yes, I get to do this one. She gets to stretch it out, which actually is beautiful because, you know, it's like prayers answered. She needs the stretching part of this the most because of, oh, there goes the ball. She needs the stretching the most because of what she was just describing with her movement and the pattern and the way it just shifted on her. So she'll be able to do things. We'll show you with the bench and stuff how you can really elongate this with some stretches after I'm done. But for now, I'm going to go through this. I desperately need this. I can see myself get really skinny in the mirror, like right through here. I'm not a big guy or anything, but when I look in the mirror and it's just like everything is sucked up like a Aztec Indian, you know, where I look like I've been out and just hunting for days, then I know that my rib cage and everything all around my diaphragm is compressing just because I'm like this all the time, all day long. So, or I'm using my knees and stuff, but now I'm even finding that I'm getting like a lower body from using my knees and shins to work on people. I'm getting a lower body presentation of what I feel doing this all the time with my upper body. And it's all like right in this region. So, all right, here we go. How to drop the rib cage. So let's look at.
Hi, Kathy.
No worries. You can watch it later. We'll send it over. All right. So I'll just pull this up. Wow, that's actually not bad for me right now. I feel like I should be a lot worse than that. Can you still hear me? All right, cool. So I feel like I should be a lot worse than that. Let me see. I mean, I'm pretty much relaxed. So I would want to be about here, and you can see that'll drop in right through here. It'll drop in a lot more. But basically, I'm also going to show you how to cut the waist in. So we're going to take and we're going to drive the roller right here, and we're going to go between the rib cage and the hip. And this will make your waist smaller, but man, it'll make your lower back feel amazing. And the way I dug my hand through Sarah on here is the same way I'm going to effectively do it with the roller here. It can be really uncomfortable. So this one, watch like when I do it, I'm going to start with this one. And since we did this before, and I'm thinking of you guys. So I try and do stuff that you guys did a couple days before this. So that way, when I do this, I'm pretty much caught up to where you guys are. So we're going to start here. When you do this, be gentle, okay? I'm going to lay over softly. Don't try and be He-Man on this. It is not the foam rolling exercise to be a tough guy on. So try and sink it in and breathe shallow, okay? And whenever I tell you to breathe shallow in any one of these things, if you don't know what that means, I'm telling you to get all of your air out of you and then breathe small at the bottom, okay? Don't try and keep lungs filled with air on this exercise. It won't work, and it'll just feel like it resists you. All right, so now that I know I can switch this around so easy. This will be, can you film this up there too? Because this is one that everybody online is like, please redo this one. Baby, the big button at the front that I tell you to hit, it so it focuses. Go click. Did you get it? All right, cool. Yeah, there you go. See? Huh? On there? I don't know where it's recording to. That's cool if it does. All right, so basically you can do this or you can rest over. And all you're trying to aim at is between under the rib cage and then between the hip, if possible, okay? And I mean that with all seriousness because there's a lot of you who are going to try this right now and you're not going to be able to get it between your rib cage and your hip. Yeah. So if you can't get it between it, that's okay. So you want to, in that side, err on the side of caution with how sensitive your rib cage can be. Rest it on the rib cage portion, and then we're going to basically stay at this angle and allow the pressure to lift the rib cage up here. So you're kind of sitting the roller under the rib cage gently, and then you're allowing your body weight to rest down this way, kind of like this, to where it's pushing the rib cage and releasing it up this way. And this is not something that this is probably going to be the most tedious and maybe boring, me just talking while this sinks in, but I'm not going to do anything until I actually feel it do it with me right now. So that way you can get a gauge of if you're pretty tight, which I am, how long this is going to take for you. And now I'm pressing it down. So feel free to, kind of foam rolling. So this is my foam rolling. Okay. So, a couple inches here and there, just grinding it just constantly. I mean, feel free to lay there and just let it just sink in, but it's, I don't know. I get I get anxiety if I just sit on spots. I feel like my body and my nervous system is just like, move, do something, just do a little bit. So I do a little bit of stimulation here and I'm trying to encourage it to separate. Yeah. Oh, there you go. That'll be nice. Ooh, so now I'm leaning back a little bit so you can rest your foot here so you're not bouncing. This is definitely on every time you do this. I don't care if you're loose or not. Do not try and do some crazy intense, lift up both legs and balance on. It's just, there's better ways to hit that. It's a very sensitive area too. And there's times where your transverse abdominis and your obliques will just melt. And I mean, they're not like a muscle that melts on the rest of your body. They're sheaths. So when they melt, the whole region just flops and it'll go in. And next thing you know, you've got 100 more pounds of pressure on your rib cage. So it's pretty wild. I mean, if anybody's ever failed doing a plank, I mean, literally fell to your face, failed on a plank, then you know what it feels like. It feels like your entire abdomen just goes away like a sheath or like a sheet in your bed. It feels very floppy. It doesn't matter for you. It could be right now I feel it in the back, but when I go to the front, I get a spot too. So in the beginning, you're probably going to feel both, but on me right now, it's definitely the back. I feel the QL when I lean back here, and when you feel those cords when you're laying back on them, just kind of bounce on them. And now I'm getting this one to melt. And then I'll go back to the front. All right, I'm going to take a little rest for that for a second. I don't know if you can see here. Yeah, it does look a little more blocky over here. Yeah, it's a lot more smooth right through here. It's not going to be a big significant change now. I'm just trying to, I didn't do that beforehand. So, and sometimes in between, Sarah will show you how to do stretches like this. I'll lean on something. If it's really unforgiving too, I'll just try and pull that side, do a little quick stretch or anything just to kind of encourage it. I would never do quick stretches like that normally, but I mean, if you're in the middle of a recovery routine and you're going back to recovery, then feel free. All right, now I'm going to lay over. Now this gets to where you'll feel it right away. This is definitely not focusing on the hip region. This is melting the rib cage. But you want to make sure that you let it sink in there, because if you go straight to laying on it like this, you're going to feel like the rib cage is a big half basketball that the roller is sitting on and pushing you up like this. You're not going to be resting naturally on the ground like this. Get as comfortable as you can. Now mine's melting a little bit to where I go up. You can see this. The trademark vein, all clients say. Like, dang, man, you're working hard. Your vein's sticking out. Oh, man, this is a good one. Make sure you breathe, but breathe shallow, of course, you know. See my feet twinkling? It just doesn't hurt me anymore. It's just not this. Who likes a big thing in the side of you? It feels like weird, just uncomfortable. I can't breathe right. Ooh, and leaning back, it just released a lot. Wow, I gotta get up. Woo-hoo. Sometimes you'll have that. Even with the, I've been doing this for 10 years and there's still times it doesn't matter. It's not like, oh yeah, I reset my muscle and it's forever good. So you're always going to be going back sometimes where, you know, like life happens and you're just not, you're not like staying in your rhythm. And the next thing you know, boom, you go back to it and you're like, oh my gosh, like that spot right there felt uncomfortable like years ago. So definitely it's been too long since I've done this spot and everything. Lean over too, always like kind of check. And when you do that too, like I got this to where it feels like a lot of nothing. And then up here, I feel like this whole line that I basically built up over the weeks. So as you do these things, constantly use your range of motion to test and see how the rubber band is freeing up. Is it here? Is it moved? And if it has, like, where is it shifted? Because if you weren't doing this just to follow along with me, then you could go like I would and be like, dang, my pec minor, I could feel the entire thing. It reaches down here. It's like, it feels like it's just going to rip my chest apart on this side versus here. It feels like absolutely nothing. So if I was going to be doing this by myself, I would go up here and hit this, drop this back and open. That would make this fall even more. But since we're doing this, I'm obviously going to show you this because we did a lot of that last week. But if you're feeling that and you're going back through this, I did that. So I'm not going to do it like I did before. I'm going to try and be more of a fast rhythm in hitting these. So we're going to go and do the other side because I really want you guys to see how I would do this, how quickly I can get it done. And once you get it, I don't really need to talk as much for these next two. We can just get them done. And then we can move on to the actual rib cage portion of it. So, and don't try to do the rib cage first. I don't care if you feel like you're free and you're like the ultimate yogi. Just do the waist first. Just be cautious. You're always using your pelvic girdle. You're always using your lower back and abdomen. We're all hunched over, sitting and doing stuff like, you know, we're doing more of the nonsense than we are the good stuff. So it makes sense to always assess this. And it just makes it because you're manipulating structure here. You're working with like intercostal muscles, serratus, like all these tiny little finger muscles and stuff like that. They're not huge muscles. So you want to do as much as you can to help out the little guys before you go just beating them senseless. Because it's not about a challenge like, well, I can release my rib cage. I could do it. Yeah, you can do lots of stuff with the body. You can also cause yourself major pain just for 3 days for no reason at all. And I mean, it's not necessary. You can do all this stuff. You can release it and find a better rhythm and wake up the next day feeling amazing. And if you do feel any kind of bruised area or tenderness, then you know that, wow, that was an epicenter. So this is, it's nice when you do the other side because it doesn't feel like you're pressing and this one's pressing back against you. This is nice and free over here. So I feel like I can actually sink into the abdomen further on this side a lot quicker. Cool. I'm glad you see that, Kathy, or feel that. I'll see it too, whatever. All right, now I can lean up over it. I don't even need to go from the other one. This should only be like a 5-minute, 7-minute roll at most, even on your first time. So you can go right into laying down. And you see how it goes to a rhythm. I'm obviously stay down. I'm just getting up to talk, but you can see how it goes to a rhythm and you can feel it melt and roll over this. So if that's what you're aiming for and you're trying to do it in one shot, you can do that as we're doing right now. What? Why are you laughing at me? No, my clients. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When followers on Instagram do a one-on-one on live foam rolling with me, they're like, "Oh well, it does hurt you." I'm like, yeah, it hurts. What are you crazy? You think I just the video's online? I try my best to keep a straight face, but on this, no way. And I don't think I've ever filmed this on for Instagram that has ever not made me make faces. You know, this is just a brutal area. All right, let's rest on that for a minute. Oh wow! Immediately, I feel like I can just like vacuum right through here. That's crazy different. My chest, I can already feel like it just sits up higher. It's like my shoulders, they were just wanting to do this. Sarah was getting on me because she's like, sit up, slouch her. I was against the wall like this. I just didn't feel it was hurting, like just not hurting, but it was just sensitive and irritated from, I forget, like when you do planks, pushing on people more or less for hours and hours and hours a week, like that I get the cool, Gabe. Awesome, brother. I get like an ab workout and stuff, you know, so I ignore it because I don't feel it, you know, but it's relative. It's all relative. And if you're going to act like a race car, then you better dang well take care of yourself like one. All right, let's see. We're going to go up into this side and we're going to try and get right like where the below the pec line. Ladies, definitely pull your boob out of the way and get there because the line that you're going to want to hit is going to feel like a bra strap. Up like the way that the old wire ones would run up under here. So look for that and move your boob out of the way. Sometimes you can just, when you'll get used to it, where you just roll the roller and it'll move it for you. But if you're new to doing this, obviously, you know, just be smart and try and pull it out of the way so you can feel that spot really. And it's also good for you just to be able to feel the spot and like sit it on there and kind of do this for a minute and make sure that you're right on the spot that you want. Oh yeah, so many women have that. It's crazy how many women, especially like I had just in the last 2 years, 11 women get their implants out, whether or not you do or not. But they got their implants out, and the stuff that you would see going through there when you can actually get behind and work with the. Oh, okay. Yeah, I work with women who get like any kind of augmentation and stuff like that, and you just see like afterwards, it's like crazy. It depends on the doctor, depends on like how invasive they were. So go up like we did with the armpit, and then roll down. I'll go down here. You can hear me all right? All right, cool. So I'm getting below the shoulder blade here region. This should feel more like a rib cage. Okay, it should be like a lot more like high pitched sound. What? It's like, I don't know, when I roll certain things that are smaller muscles like this, it feels like I get like a high pitched like sound to it versus when I'm on the big muscles down there, it's more like like deep and like achy, throbby kind of pain. These ones more like makes it's almost like yeah, more superficial. So they're going to be more. Plus, the smaller the muscle, it's like a capacitor. So you press on a small muscle, it can only handle so much to capacity. A big muscle, it can handle a lot more. So here, just all right. I let it melt in, and then you see now once you get past that sensitive initial part, then you get on to where you feel like that hard part. Okay, remember we're grinding at the surface right through here, but all of our weight and pressure should be driving whatever we feel into the body so that we can feel the whole thing. You don't want to feel the little guy here. You don't want to feel this little dum-dum right here, this little speed bump. You want to press into that speed bump that feels like a bone. You want to push it into the body gently at first, and you want to kind of bounce on it and feel that guy will turn into what feels like a big ball under the surface. And this is with every knot. I didn't go through this on the last one because this is more of like an advanced understanding. The next thing that you need to get when you understand foam rolling on how you can truly, this is why people don't do foam rolling and don't do it well. And this is why all the PhD experts are getting it wrong and saying that it doesn't work. And then you guys do basic stuff with me and you go, wow, it does work. And that's because they don't hold and they're not driving the spot. They're scratching the surface like this. They're literally rolling. We are trying to use the roller to roll to find the spot. Then we're finding that hard spot, and then we're trying to press into the hard spot to feel what's below the hard spot. And like I said, in most cases, every case, it's going to feel like you're pressing on, like my knuckles would be the head of it. And then when you press on it, all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, that's a huge ball inside of there. So, and then when you get on it, you're rocking this way, but I'm also doing a little bump of my pressing my head. Like I'm trying to get this kind of weird dance motion going on and drive it in until you get, sometimes you'll get like a big boom and the whole thing will just melt away. Other times you won't even feel like that happens for 20 minutes. I mean, that spot, does it feel really light right through there, Kathy? Do you feel the rush, right? Yeah. So when you get on, when you get on the calcified areas, or the areas that have really hardened and the tissue has gone past the point of trying to just use scar tissue to hide the sensation, the sensitivity in the area. When the body can't suppress the nerve anymore with scar tissue, it's going to harden it. It's trying to stop the signal getting in there at all because you are risking major injury. So when you release any of those hard areas, you should immediately feel like a whoosh, like a rush. And when you do, you know that you've gotten new blood into an old area that was pretty dormant and seized off, and it's got to get colder before it warms back up. And so that tells you that those two things. I move my arm on this side, actually, and it's lighter. I know that I've reduced tension, friction, and therefore I've got a lighter feeling. The muscles don't have to work as hard, so it feels like you took a backpack off. And the other side that you look for when you're foam rolling, stretching, or any kind of therapeutic response you want is to know that you've got a cold feeling too. You want to know that the circulation and the blood flow has increased, and in turn, the indicator for that is that it gets colder and then warms back up. So let's do that on the other side. We're just going to basically, this is how I truly roll, because if you don't, you'll end up like Sarah did, where I did the one side and didn't do the other one like that. And in reality, so let's just lay it right up into here, find that. I go a couple rolls, I find that hard spot. It takes like 2 to 3 rolls, guys. It shouldn't be like something, if you're really rolling superficially, like just going back and forth, yes, you might not feel it right away. But if you're leaning your weight in there and you're just doing some slow grinding rolls, you'll find that spot. Man, this looks sensitive.
Can you add range of motion?
Yeah, but I don't want range of motion onto people doing. I'll do one at the end though, after they're free. Because if they do it in the beginning of this, then it could be really like if I move my arm right now, it's not a very comfortable feeling, and it could feel like teary kind of. Ooh, see, yeah, that just rolled over. Clunk. Go ahead. All right, now it's melted. I got that initial layer off of there, and I can grind. This side is not fun at all. No hiding the pain. Got to show the real deal. So this one I want to go more forward on. It's almost up in the, going towards the armpit region, but it's more in the serratus, like reaching up under the nipple line. Grinding here. Gonna lean a little bit more now. This one I like to extend my arm, lean it out, or extend it out, lean back. And then as I go back here, I feel like I'm up under the shoulder blade. And when I am, I'm gonna go down the back a little bit and just up under that shoulder blade. There's a big ball that is on almost every person. We were working it before doing the shoulder. Now we're like trying to get like up under it. We're trying to like bump into the bottom of it. And now once you got it, like lean your body weight like you're pulling it down this way and hook that spot like you're shoving your shoulder blade back up off the rib cage. So this is kind of like what we did last week, but we're actually going to do an advanced like manual kind of forced release here. And just do it gently. If you feel like it's spasming or pulling against you, back off and do it again, but you should be feeling like the bottom of your shoulder blade is a ball, the roller's hooked on it, and you're pushing this up. So the shoulder blade is here, the roller's pushing it up into a stretch. You can get on it, you can bounce on it, make sure you're hooked on that big ball, and then just let your butt fall down this way. And a little stretch and release there. So let's see, So what's the feeling feel like on that side versus the other? You got pretty similar feeling right here. Did it get a kind of like a cool feeling? Is it different than this one? A little nerve itch. Yeah. That's a good sign too. So watch. Now we're gonna just give it a second, then we're gonna go back in. Now we're gonna push it down. So this is just a different way you can do it. If you're feeling a lot of pressure from the shoulder blade, like on that side, I was feeling when I tried to pull this down, this guy was just like an anchor, and it was like I'm not gonna move. So you can pull on it, and again, you can get that spot up top to release. It's going to feel a lot more tender for a couple of days than if you go do what we're about to do. If you were to actually take it and push it up, release it head on like that a little bit, and then go down here and pull it down, we might be able to get like an even bigger rush of cold feeling on this side when we do it, but it'll prevent, if you got the shoulder blade and it's like really grabbing on it, if you are to pull down first, you might release this one and this one, but I bet you this one will be really sore for a couple of days. So it's best if you feel that pressure just to go up for a second like we didn't take hardly any time, and then to go down the second one, because we're like, what, 2 minutes away from that? Now we're going back at it. So now we're going to go down. So now when you go down, you just get your body weight like hooked over it and like lean your head. And you should feel like you can kind of grab it and it's pushing this way. And just let your head relax too, because you don't, I mean, it's good. It's a good stretch for the neck, but you can also use that as to put the pressure by hanging the head over. It's kind of putting the pressure this way too. And now it's walking down the side. See, now I feel it's actually pushing into my sternum and releasing that too. Wow, that's kind of painful. Woohoo! Oh man, I just got some major, oh wow. I can't even talk through this. Oh wow. It's right on my sternum. I feel like it's gonna pop. Woo-hoo. Oh my goodness. There we go. Whew. I didn't want to pop. It's feeling like it was gonna tear, it's like right there at the, oh man. Sometimes that's not even like a good pain. That's not like, oh, it just needs to release. That was like, oh, that wants to like do something it's not supposed to do. All right. Yeah, I feel it. All right. So, I'm sure everybody has done the famous roll down your back. Yeah. I'm sure everybody's just like rolled it straight down their back. So we're going to do that, but we're going to turn it. And when you turn the roller and then still go straight down, up and down, it's going to hook your rib cage instead of going right on the muscles. So just taking the roller, if it was on my back, right? Instead of being like this, I'm going to have it like this and then like this. And one will hook one side and one will hook another side. And all you have to do is just kick your body weight back to do so. So here it'd be. Here's your regular one, right? So you don't change your body. You just change the roller. You still roll the same way, pretty much. It'll kick your body to the side a little bit, but it's not going to change anything. And so I lean to that side that I feel, which is all on my right side. Whatever side is the roller is up on is going to be what it's hitting. So, but I mean, if you go this way, you can feel stuff too. It just completely changes the game when you move the roller like this and you still go straight on it. It shifts from the muscular system to more of a structural, hitting the superficial lines, hitting the muscular or the structural lines of the rib cage. And then if you lean back, it's not a bad idea to put your arms down. And try and, lean over. Dropping the glutes is a good thing too. Keep your abs tight. But try, I mean, when you go over, people are like, you can't roll the lower back. If you ever hear that, don't listen to that person again. The lower back is fine as long as you stabilize yourself. It makes absolutely no sense to tell somebody not to roll their lower back, because if you ignore what I'm doing right now, the person could feel so much better. And it's going to make the entire lower back region on somebody who's trying to build it look amazing. The Christmas tree and everything. I'll call it the pine tree. All right, let's switch it back up. So same thing, remember, if you can't figure this out, you take the roller from straight and then just kick the one side up. Wow, you know, it's wild. I still feel my right side. So that just shows you guys, like, whatever the dominant side is in your misalignment, in your tension past beneficial tension, it's going to show itself. You really, in these positions, these are pretty much, these are somewhat stable. These are semi-stable positions. They're still somewhat destabilized. So when you have muscles that are in a destabilized environment, they're going to fire in order to try and support the body. And when you have that, it's going to push whatever to the surface that's really more bound up. So even though I switched it and it's, you know, I feel my left, it's now my right has subsided, and now I'm feeling my left. So I was really having to like lean to my left to feel it. So.
Would you have to engage it in order to feel it?
Yeah, I was having to twist in order to feel it. Sarah asked would I have to engage it. So, I mean, that's what I was having to do there. So it doesn't matter. This is just to give you a different angle, a different way to hit the tissue. Like pulling up like this, I feel it hitting all through my right armpit. So doing this one is really just helping to pull, because the thing is, like, if you go into a manual release with my hands, it's a lot easier and a lot safer to release the rib cage with some more force applied to it. When you get into the roller, it's more like you're suggesting and encouraging the rib cage to release. You're not trying to like make it happen, whether it likes it or not. So that kind of right there, instead of being something that you're really like dragging and hardcore releasing like we were here, it's more of like grabbing the tissue and encouraging it through our body weight and through whatever way we leverage to hook the tissue. So as the roller's going across it, it can't get away from it, and it can pull that tissue down the body into a stretch. The roller is really more or less, if you were trying to do it, if you were trying to take your hand and see how I'm pushing on my leg, but I'm not letting it go over. I'm grabbing and dragging my hand with friction against my leg. That's really what you have to make sure that you're doing with this. It's not to go over. It's to use and grab to where it doesn't slide. So if you're on your arm, see, I'm pushing into it to where my roller is not going to slide off. Like that's how hard I would have to do it to get it to slide off. That needs to be the focus, because if you're not encouraging the tissue that you're working to go in the direction of a stretch for it, it's not going to release. And if it does, it's going to feel really painful for a few days, because I used to release everything with direct pressure back into the body, and I wouldn't pull it into a stretch. I would just use compression, and people would be a lot more sore than they are now. So let's go into the front side. What time we have, babe?
9.
All right, cool. We're just going to do a couple more. I wanted to keep this one short and sweet for me. So, and then get Sarah in here just to do some stretches. But I mean, in reality, this is a region that is really like a subsidiary, like a secondary component of here and of the lower region. So things that you do when you stretch your lower back and you pull your leg across and things like that, they all help to alleviate this area here. So you don't need a whole lot of focus on this area. You should be spending your time on the surrounding regions and then doing some complementary work through here. That's why this is more going to be like an hour-long session, well, really like 30 to 45 minutes, because if you were to spend a whole lot of time on this, you don't want, you breathe with this, you sleep on it, you do a lot of things, you cough, you sneeze, a lot of things that you do with this. So you don't want to get this too beat up. you want to kind of methodically do it, like go back to it. Okay. Do 25% of what you were going to do on a normal foam rolling session for this session, come back to it and see. And don't ever start the first time you do this on this region. Make sure just to tread carefully, just be gentle with it. Do like nothing to it at first and just wait. It's nothing. If you didn't make yourself feel anything, then the next day or the day after, go back at it and really do it. So just test the waters and see if your body is as resilient as mine, or somebody else who would do this. All right. Make sure my mic doesn't fall on my face. All right. So here we're going to basically take the entire region and go through here. So if you take your chest, I did this on a story yesterday on Instagram and people were tripping. They couldn't believe how I was just telling them how to take their pec tissue and just pull it like this and don't let your finger go over it and pull on any ball you saw until there was no more in their chest, and people were just freaking out like how well it made their neck and shoulder and everything feel. So same thing here. If you take your hands and you just go like this and you feel all through here, you're going to feel these bony ridges that go across. So we can take those and actually pull them down. You won't even feel them anymore. Like, and this is when you see the people and bodybuilders and everything who have that like super sexy chest. I mean, like it's just, you look at it and it wraps under, it's super full, like goes all the way out. You know what I mean? That kind of person has really found a way to get their internal rib cage and structure compressed the way it should be, so that all the fleshy tissue and muscle fibers and everything are really nice and relaxed, like a nice canvas over it. It doesn't look like everything inside is trying to like rip us open and jump out. That's what most of us look like. That's what I feel like. I mean, that's not good. You know, most people have it, you know what I mean? But even all that stuff that you feel this hard, here, look at that. Yeah, all up here, that's really, so if you're feeling that, we need to soften that up, okay? And I'm going to show you all the different angles and directions that we can do with this. But more or less on this one, we're going to try and take the roller straight across and pull some of these fibers with like a slight angle to it, like so. Maybe a little angle here just to pull some down, but we're going to try and grab those hard areas and pull them down, see how much of this. This is basically opposing the pressure that comes down on us all day. So as it's coming, it's pushing back up. And what we need to do is to push it down. And when it goes down, it's also going to go in. And when it goes in, all this flesh is going to sit up and be a lot thicker on top. All right, so here, arms at your side. Knees can be here for more pressure. But let's just start a little less here. And you're going to try and press like your face is going towards the mat as close as you can without touching it. And you're going to try and, as I just showed you, drag the hard spots you feel. Push them down the body. Push them this way without letting the roller slip over them. You want the roller to grab them as if you're skin to skin stretching it and pull it down the body until you feel it go away. And it should literally go away and sink into the surface. And it might not happen on the first try, so don't think you're just going to make one pass on a bone structure. It doesn't work that way. We want to be gentle and we want to encourage the structure to release, not force it. Ooh, now do this because it's hard breathing and doing it. Nice and slow, just hanging on it. I'm letting my weight just hang right on each piece. And as you see me move, it's releasing. Deep breath, guys. Take a deep breath all through your nose, in and out, all through your nose. In 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, out 4 seconds. And when you exhale, just let your whole body melt. Oop, there's the mic. Oh man, it's already feels better right here. It's already better. So we're gonna get down through here. My main region is, you can hear it, it's right here. This is my area. That's why I feel so much anxiety and just pressure. I've even had like crazy panic attacks and stuff where I just wake up. It happens to me even recently and stuff where I'll just wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I know it's, need to go drink a bunch of water, try and calm this down. I didn't, work on myself after work and stuff, and it eventually will restrict my breathing and causes me just to get like panicky. So that's one symptom that people can get from this kind of stuff. So you might get pain, you might get whatever, you might get shortness of breathing. You could also get panicky stuff like I do. So think of all the things that I have learned through what tension will reduce. I reduce tension here. I can breathe better. Wow. I don't have panic attacks anymore. I mean, that's amazing because I've always done really dominant things here with, working on cars or sports, and everything has always been super dominant there. So it makes sense that I could have had this my whole life. Now we're going to move down. We're gonna go straight down. It's gonna be the last one. So I did from here to here basically, and now I'm gonna start like right in this region and push this down, and then we're gonna be good. Let Sarah do some stretches with you guys. So I'm getting right at the kind of like right where you were, just a little bit more. You should feel more of a large spot down towards the middle. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, that's a good one. Good spot. Feels good. Doesn't even hurt.
How slow are you moving? An inch, half an inch at a time?
I'm only moving as fast as it releases. If I don't feel it shift and like the roller wants to move, I don't move. So I'm waiting for it to stretch and release. And then as I feel it melt, I move to where it wants to be, or like I move to where it's up against something hard again. All right. Yeah, buddy. All right. There's the camera there. Oh man, so much better. Everything through here just feels lighter to me. I feel way less anxiety. I feel like a good 20% of what I did to myself in work and the compression that I had through here feels just significantly better. Now, if you guys are gonna, I wouldn't suggest ever starting your day doing really heavy foam rolling like this if you plan to have any kind of physical activity in your day. So if you plan to go like lift hard or do something like that, I would definitely suggest making sure this is after, because although you have a great sense of relief, it's a false sense of reality because we've truly fatigued the tissues and sent them into a catabolic response where they want to go through that sleep process, that reprogramming. They want to truly recover. So make sure that we prime the nervous system for the proper things that we're going to be using it for. Go do the work, and then prime it for recovery when you're truly ready to recover, and then go to sleep at some point later in that day. All right, I'm gonna let Sarah get into it and show you just some basic stretches and maybe some advanced ones too. And then I feel like, hey Jeff.
Hey, Papa.
So I feel like I'll do an advanced version of this in the future where we can start adding some movements and stuff. But initially I didn't want to go too far into it because it could be a very painful area and people can do things a little bit too much. They tend to initially. So, all right, baby, get in here.
I'm kidding. I'll mute.
Did you have any questions, Mom? You gonna move it around while I move?
Now you can hear me, right?
Did you have
Sarah.
any questions?
You have questions?
No, I actually, am happy that I accidentally figured out that cross thing in the back when I do my back. Now I just have to remember that it's a constant thing to do that would be beneficial. And the front side, because this here needs to open up, so I got to remember to do all that.
Especially with the way that you lift, you're so heavy, compounded work that elongating and opening things up for you will make you even stronger and get away from, any kind of tension buildup, calcified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the thing, is just remembering, not just remembering, but staying consistent. If you can stay consistent with something, you can stay consistent with maintenance like this. So it has to be just as important.
Absolutely. And when anybody starts to put this into their routine as far as recovery, some clients have even gone as far as workout maintenance, every other day has been a dedication to recovery and maintenance work, and their bodies change even faster than when they did everyday workout with no maintenance, with no stretching, with no foam rolling, even body work or even massage work. So it's really something that when people start to experience foam rolling and stretching, they realize how much better they feel versus just working out. And then they see, the results of what they've been working on for so long come to full circle, and then it almost becomes addicting. So for me, stretching is more addicting to me than working out sometimes because of how it makes me feel. Some people get more addicted to the way workouts make you feel, and I get it. I've been in both sides, and right now, ever since I had my son, I went 7 years nonstop working out. I think I maybe took a week off here and there, but when I got pregnant with my son, my body just said, you're going to relax. You are going to do some maintenance stuff. You're going to just, do body weight workouts. You're not going to go hardcore. So it's really important to listen to our bodies when we're stretching, when we're foam rolling, when we're working out, and to really be aware of what we're feeling, what is causing this to feel this way. What can I change? Is it my everyday movements? Is it my workouts? And I think that's really the biggest key for people to realize too, and for all of us to realize, is how we go about our days on a daily basis, the patterns that we go through, what's causing certain things to be stuck. And yes. Oh yeah, Alt M at the same time. There we go. So when we go about our everyday, that's why I love stretching, because our bodies move in literally a million different directions. You see the way gymnasts move, you see the way swimmers move, you see the way dancers move, whether you're doing martial arts, Brazilian, jiu-jitsu, things like that. Our bodies can move in endless possibilities. And with stretching, I think it's really important to incorporate different variations of movements as we stretch and as we go about our everyday movements, because we get stuck in a routine of, sit down, stand up, walking around, driving, sitting. A lot of it is stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. So today we're just going to focus on here, but focusing on the midsection and the trunk and the torso, it just involves everything. You involve your upper body and you also involve your lower body. So in order to stretch this area, you will be stretching your upper and lower body. So we're just going to go through some variations of the upper body and lower body with the trunk and torso in mind. And that's the goal, is to be stretching this area here. Just a simple stretching down to your toes. It's going to stretch all back here. And it's also going to stretch the whole superficial line of coming from your neck all the way down to the back of your hamstrings, all the way down to your feet. So pulling the abs in nice and tight, chin to your chest, rounding your back, squeezing your glutes, relaxing the knees, and just letting your body kind of fall over and think of folding your body in half. So here we go. The slower, the better. And we're just going to hang out down here. And from here, you can add different variations of movement. You can bend the knees. You can sway back and forth, grabbing your elbows, swaying back and forth. You can extend the arms in front of you to get into a flat back rather than a round curved back. And then you can curve. You can go back and forth, but the key is here to get a nice deeper stretch here. Pull the abs in as much as you can to the spine, and the deeper you go, the more breathing you have as well, and also you will get deeper stretch into the back and also into the glutes and hamstrings. Relaxing the knees, slowly roll up, squeezing the glutes. It's almost like we're doing a deadlift here, but not. What's that? Okay. Roll your shoulders back. Good. So just take a little move around. See what you feel after you did a little foam rolling. Same thing when you foam roll and when you stretch. Move the body to kind of figure out what's hindering you, what you can go back and foam roll after this. So sometimes you can incorporate stretching in between, but we would definitely recommend stretching afterwards. And if you really feel just that huge knot that needs to release somewhere, definitely, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, you can go back and release it with the foam roller and then come back and get into an even deeper stretch. So let's go down to the floor now. Okay. So this one, a lot of these, you're going to see in yoga, you're going to see in any kind of stretching routine. So a lot of these can be your own variation because, like I said, we all have different lines of tension that goes and flows throughout our body. So this one, you're just going to extend either your right leg or your left leg, crossing over. And if you can come here too if it's more comfortable. Again, finding your variation that works best for you. We're going to twist from the torso, twisting back, using the knee at the elbow, and just try and looking straight back behind you. Again, we're taking deep breaths, pulling this in nice and tight. The deeper you can pull in, the deeper you can stretch, and the deeper you can also breathe. Nice little crack. If you have something behind you to pull you even more, you can. Otherwise, this is a good one just to kind of sit and relax. You'll feel a nice stretch here. So again, it's completing that superficial line that we have all the way from the rib cage down to your hips, all the way to your feet. Just gonna kind of quickly go through these so we can go through both sides, and so we can show you, I can show you lots of variations of stretching. Definitely please go back and repeat these and hold for 2 to 3 minutes. I'll do this one with the leg out, so it kind of looks the same. Cool, make sure you're breathing nice and deep. Now we're gonna head to the floor, or actually, since I'm sitting up still, if you have something to lean against, so this is the one that Josh was kind of showing you earlier. This one, when you're stretching, you're gonna have points just like foam rolling where you can relax into it and when you can also use muscles to engage certain areas. So it's really up to you to figure out where you can relax, where you need to engage, where you need to support the stretch or the foam rolling on the, or exercise on the foam roller. So this one, it's gonna kind of be a little variation of both, because the shoulder is gonna be involved, your hips are gonna be involved, but we're targeting everything on the side of our body to stretch. So this one, you're just kind of lean and relax into it. Ooh, nice pop on my shoulder. You're using your legs for support out here. You're not fully engaging, so you're not pushing up against it. You're just kind of relaxing, using your knees and your feet to give you some support so you're not sliding around everywhere, and so you're also keeping your hips nice and stable. So again, we're targeting here. We're just going to take a big deep breath and then relax into it. Let your body just sink. And don't sink too much, because you don't want this to have any, not issues, but you don't want, we're not targeting here. We're targeting right along our midsection here. So you can engage the shoulder while also engaging the abs, but keeping this nice and relaxed. So it's really a mind to muscle connection of what is being engaged and what is relaxing. So relaxing our obliques, serratus, rib cage, lat muscles, all under here. Keeping this engaged, not too much, because you still want to relax into it. So you just want to keep it engaged just a little bit so that you're supporting the stretch as you lean further into the stretch. And from here, you can twist. And as you twist, you might actually feel this side stretching. And coming back, and then repeat on the other side. I won't put this over here, so mind my back. You can see the back of this now as I turn around. Okay. So again, using my feet, my knees to keep my hips nice and stable. I'm going to just relax into this one and see how far I can go. And then once I get to my limit, that's where I will engage the shoulder. So right there is my limit. I'm engaging the shoulder here, but keeping everything on the side of my torso nice and relaxed. My abs are nice and engaged. I'm pulling my belly button to my spine. My glutes kind of engaged slightly. And from here, I'm just going to take that twist underneath and wrapping my arm around. And I love this one because it really engages underneath the arm. It really engages the lats on both sides. So again, when we're stretching the midsection, we're just simultaneously stretching the upper body or the lower body. So now we're going to get into the lower body. Well, this is going to stretch actually a full body. We're going to lay on the floor. Let me get this out of the way. This is one of my favorite stretches. I think, well, stretching in general is my favorite, like I said. But this is going to be one of my favorites because, again, I get to use the whole superficial line is going to be engaged here. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen these before. So we're just taking right leg or left leg, whichever you want to start with, bending it at the knee, and we're just going to kind of get your arms out to the side, taking the other arm, pulling the knee across the body. And here is where you're going to keep both shoulders on the ground or on the mat, whatever you're on, getting some nice flexion in the hand and in the arm, and then just relaxing your hips across the body. And from here, you will feel an entire stretch all the way down to your feet, from your hands all the way down to your feet. Big deep breaths always. Again, we're doing this kind of quick, so please feel free to go back and do these stretches again. We're doing the opposite side now, keeping both shoulders on the ground. For me, I have a lot of tension in my inner thighs from overstretching, dancing, That was a lot of my focus for so many years, was seeing how far I can get my legs to touch my head or come behind my head eventually. So my inner thighs, over the years, I've had to work on building as far as strength. Flexibility was always there. So my strength in my inner thighs has always been a hindrance, especially with ab work, because that's the whole midline of the body. So when I do this stretch, I definitely feel a lot of tension in my inner thigh, and you might too as well. And if you do, that's okay too. So we're just focusing on this area as you do this. And if that inner thigh kind of hinders you from stretching further into it, then you don't have to bring your knee across your body as much as your body tells you not to. So keeping that hand and shoulder flat on the floor, pulling across, big deep breath, pulling the belly button into the spine. And relax. So now we're gonna kind of do the same thing, but we're bringing both knees together. This one's gonna be a little tricky. This is a little trick that I learned from Igosku. Not really anything special, but keeping the knees together. You wanna keep the knees together, and you don't want them to splay open or come out of alignment. Both arms out to your side, hands down flat on the floor, shoulders flat on the floor. So keeping the knees in alignment the whole time, all the way over. Now you will get out of alignment with your spine, and that's okay. But keep those knees together, because you will feel this back line start to stretch, and that's kind of what we're aiming for while we're keeping the hips in alignment. So not letting the knees come apart this way or this way. We're really trying to keep those knees together and in alignment. And if you really would like to have a little bit of a challenge to this stretch, you can put a ball or a towel or something in between your knees so that you are engaging your inner thighs to get an even deeper stretch. And I'm sure a lot of you maybe have done these for ab work. It's great for ab work as well. Again, trying to keep my knees together, keeping both shoulders on the ground, hands flat as well. Gotta listen to myself. Pulling those abs in to the spine always. And this one you can repeat side to side. Becomes a little ab workout at that point, but relaxing at the bottom or as far as you can go without letting your knees come apart or come uneven. I'll just do the other side one more time so you can see. Good. And relax, shake it out. Go ahead, sit up. A little bit here. So just kind of move around, see what you're feeling. My mid back, or not my mid back, my lower back is really starting to wake up. It wants to be stretched some more. So this is, I guess we'll stretch the lower back just a little bit more. How much time do we have? Okay. We're just gonna do one. This is, a lot of you have done this too. It's a great relaxation one, but I like to add a little stretch to it. So we're just gonna bring our feet together, spread your knees apart, walking the hands out in front of you. So this one, again, we are engaging our abs. We can do a little tucking, you can do a little relaxing, and then also extension of the back. You're pulling your arms out. So essentially you're pulling your lower back and your arms away from each other so you can get even elongated stretch all throughout your back, and then it'll pull also in here as you engage the abs. So we're just gonna walk our hands out, kind of sink into the middle of your knees. And from this one, you're gonna hold it in the center, and you can also go side to side where it'll stretch the side of your body. And you can walk it to the other side. Always big deep breaths. You can bring your hands together, bring your hands apart. Just gonna kind of round this here. And then extend. And then again, slowly roll up. So please do those and hold for 2 to 3 minutes. It'll really set in what you foam rolled and really align what became loose and what new freedom you have. So again, there's no right or wrong way to stretch as long as you are supporting your stretch and as long as you are not going too deep where your body cannot go. I've learned that to myself the hard way. Dancers, we want to force ourselves to stretch and go deep and get that leg all the way up, or spin as many as you can with that leg in the air. You know, just different things that you don't want to force your body to do. It's just like working out. You don't want to force your body to lift, 200 pounds before your body is ready to do that. So same thing with stretching. Don't stretch beyond what you're capable of stretching, and support the stretch. Find what needs to be engaged and find what needs to be relaxed. And then from there, you can feel what is still tight, where the tension still lies. You can go back and foam roll it or use whatever tool you have and go back and forth and really make it part of your maintenance and recovery routine. So, all done?
I don't even know if there's anybody else.
It's just me.
Yeah, we can't.
Low voice.
We got it set up to where that we can only see us. So,
Oh.
So I hope you guys liked it. This was, I definitely feel better in myself. So I know that anybody who does this, if you do it right, it should be, if you do it right, it should be something that really makes a huge difference in your overall everyday life and just your breathing and the physiological balance that breathing gives with alkalizing blood, detoxing blood, different things like that too. So it also can be something that really hinders your sleep because it'll, this whole region through here, compressing can cause your arms to fall asleep, can cause, any number of pain through the upper body region. And it can even suck, as we said, it can even suck the rib cage up into the shoulder girdle, and in turn it can destroy your hip and lower back. These stretches that Sarah did, it's always good for me because I see variations of that. I get really complacent because of how much I know in my side of the industry. So it's nice to see different things like that, especially to get variation, because those I could watch and see how my body would crave doing those after something like that. So make sure that you do follow it up. It is the most powerful therapy is movement. It's better than anything I can do with, my hands, or, what Sarah can do with stretching and things like that. Like, stretching is only as good as the movement that it's based around. So I just made a post and ticked everybody off just recently saying stretching does nothing. And then I explained it, but I knew that catchword that would trigger people and just set them off. But in truth, stretching, static stretching, sitting there like this, it does nothing. It's not, because really, who's got time for that? Who's got time to just sit there and get like a 5% increase, but if you have like movement-based stuff that Sarah does, like if you were to go through this flow of things and bring it together, and you're really just going, because movement is hydration. So you got to have this pliability being created by weaving the lines. Your body doesn't build things in a straight line. No, never. It's like Spider-Man in there. You're shooting crap everywhere. So when you think about fascia, you think about the way that the body uses connective tissue to build up support for us when we are showing it neglect. Then you realize you have to weave and bob and weave, like you have to constantly be doing things in a flow. And if you're not doing it in that fashion, then you're going to lose what you think is recovery. It's not going to be pleasing to you, and therefore you're going to give it up. The second stress happens in your life, or anything can cause your life to get disrupted, you're going to cut that right out. If it's giving you a 40 or 50% increase, like we're doing here, where you stand up every time and you're like, yes, I knew that was going to do that, then you're going to do it. But if you don't do things in the right rhythm and process, and you don't realize that, you can't delete a piece of the methodology, you don't go train one way, you don't recover one way. It doesn't work that way. And don't try and delete something because somebody said this is the best. There's no best. There's nothing, because you'll find that technique was the best with that person, is terrible with the next person. And then it could be great with that other person, but you have no chemistry with them. So for somebody to label and glorify something as the best, there's not. You can go run into that wall right there and release your shoulder if you do it right. I'm serious. It's true. I've had people who have come in with debilitating pain for 20 years and they fell down the steps and literally popped both their hips free and fixed everything. And then we went through, fixed them in 3 months of just doing basic soft tissue work. But if you think about that, somebody can fall down the steps and fix 20 years of debilitating hip pain that they were told they need a replacement because of. And it was just sheer calcified tissue from somebody sitting in a chair watching TV for 2 decades or more, probably. But any rhythm done the right way can be healing to the body. And anybody who gets in, I used to do it, who talks about deleting stuff should not be talking about it, because there's a connection to somebody out there in the world that methodology is going to work for. But thank you for watching. This got to be,
Questions?
oh yeah, I mean, it's only your mom. So do you have any questions, Mom?
No, I'm good. I
All
mean,
right,
I'm
cool.
gonna use it all after my training session today.
Awesome.
Okay,
Let
cool.
us know how it goes.
All right.
Yeah, it'll be
Thanks so
good.
much. Thanks so much,
Yes.
guys, coming on a Sunday.
welcome.
Appreciate you joining with us. Have a great day, and we'll see you Thursday, 5 o'clock.
Thank you.
Bye, Mama.
Bye.